Hello, everyone. My name is Oleg Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library, and I welcome you to Work Ready, in-depth tour of Google Docs. And now I'd like to tell you about the Work Ready program. Work Ready started in December of 2020 with the purpose of helping people get a job, improve their work situation, and plan a more sustainable career path. We do that in two ways. Number one is we lend out laptops and Wi-Fi hotspots for 6-week loans out of 27 library locations, breaking down one barrier to applying for a job and getting online training. We also provide virtual events just like this one, covering a wide range of work-related topics from basics like resumes, cover letters, interviews, to deep dives into various careers and other subjects to help you succeed at work, like Google Docs. You can see over 50 of those past classes at any time by checking out the work and career playlist over on our YouTube channel. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that in the chat so that you can check out what we have available. And of course, this Work Ready program is made possible due to funds provided by the American Rescue Plan. We also have a fun event for you next week, and that is Work Ready Interview with a Handy Ma'am. Join us for a fascinating conversation with Colette Vaughn, who has established a solo career in the trades as an art installer, all while legally blind. Find out the keys to over 10 years as a successful business owner. That's coming up next Tuesday, July 18th at 11 a.m., a week from right now. And that's sure to be an interesting conversation, whether you're interested in getting into the trades or not. Of course, if you'd like to learn more about library programs, virtual or otherwise, you can go to lacountylibrary.org. On the right-hand side, click on events, and that'll take you to the calendar that will give you events from 85 library locations, and the events for kids, teens, adults, older adults, of course, all free. And if you're only interested in virtual events, we have a special page just for that, and that you can get by going to lacountylibrary.org. That's our website. On the right-hand side, hover over the events button, and a virtual programming dropdown will come up. You click on that and it'll take you just to the Zoom events. And so you can see all the Work Ready events. You can see all of our other online offerings. And before we begin, I also want to let you know that this presentation is being recorded, so don't worry if you miss anything. Sometimes I talk fast. Also, we're going to be covering quite a lot. It's going to be an in-depth tour of Google Docs, so you can always review the presentation. And you can do that by going to our YouTube channel, lacountylibrary.org youtube.com/lacountylibrary. And you can see our various programs. And don't worry about remembering that. I will send you a link to the video of this program afterward via a follow-up email. You should be getting that in the next few days, along with any links that I talk about and other stuff that comes up if it's relevant. So here is that, in case somebody comes in later, is post what I just said into the chat. All right, and so let's get going with an in-depth tour of Google Docs. So your presenter for today is me. My name is Oleg Kagan. Once again, I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator for LA County Library and also a big fan of productivity software. I use Microsoft Office and Office 365 at work and been using that for many years. And in my personal life, for many years, I've been using Google Workspace, Google Drive, Google Docs, Google Sheets. And maybe 10 or 12 years ago, when they came out, I tried to use them and said, no, no, no. It won't do. It was not up to par at that point to be a daily driver, something that you use all the time. And now, a decade later, Google has come a very, very long way with their productivity apps, and their suite of software is really fantastic. I can safely and with satisfaction use it as my regular productivity suite at home. And I know a lot of people, more and more companies are using the Google Suite. I think it's called Google Workspace as a whole in the professional setting. And, it is easy to use. There's a lot of good features, and it's very simple to start out, which is what I think makes it really nice for somebody who's a computer beginner or computer intermediate. You can get the basic features of the Google Suite just by going in and getting started. But if you want a little bit extra, you can explore the menus, you can get extensions, and you can do a lot of interesting stuff. And I hope to show you some of that interesting stuff that you can do with Google Docs today. But don't worry, we're going to start with the basics. Now, before I start sharing my screen and getting into Google Docs, I did want to ask you, the audience, a question. I'm curious what your experience is like with Google Docs, with Google Workspace, with Microsoft Office, particularly Microsoft Word in this situation. We're talking about word processors. And so what your experience is like with it and what you're interested in learning. Maybe if you're a beginner, intermediate, advanced user, because I think there's going to be something for everybody here. But if there's going to be a lot of beginners, I might go a little bit slower in the beginning to sort of give you the foundation on which we can build to more advanced features, which I'm going to show you as well. So if you want to post in the chat, you can choose which question to answer, your level, your experience, whether you've used Google Docs before. I see there's a lot of beginners, which is great. I see somebody posted, I think I prefer MS Office. I think Excel is better than Sheets. I think depending on what you use it for. Excel is fantastic. I use Excel every day at work. I think Excel is great. I'm a lover of spreadsheets, which is odd to say, but it's true. And Excel can do a lot. It's been developed for decades and decades, and so it has a lot of features. But many of the typical features that most people use can also be found in Google Sheets, which I appreciate. So let me see here. I've used Google Docs for 10 years, you and me both. We've got beginners. So there's some people talking about email, experienced, MS Office, minimal use of Google Workspace, and other more Excel users. So if you're interested in learning about Google Sheets, I do have another in-depth tutorial about that, which I delivered in the past, and you can watch. I think it's a 2-hour program where I go through all of Google Sheets from the beginning and then answer questions about Google Sheets and do demonstrations via the questions. Here today, we're going to be talking about the word processor, Google Docs. But yes, no, I appreciate everybody who's excited about spreadsheets, just like I am. So somebody mentioned that they're having trouble hearing. So if you can't hear anything, if you're having tech issues, my number one suggestion is to restart and log out of the session and then log right back in. That usually solves most tech issues with Zoom. So I see like intermediate users, beginner users. So we do have a lot of beginner. Oh, somebody mentioned LibreOffice. Excellent. I'm an Open Office user from way back to it. Open Office is a free and open source productivity suite, which is about equivalent to what Microsoft Office was, maybe in terms of style, at least 10 years ago, but it has a lot of the great features. And LibreOffice is another one. Open Office and LibreOffice are very similar. So it's good. We have a lot of beginners here. So you are in luck because we're going to start from the beginning. All right. So let us get going. I'm going to look into the questions as well. So I was following the chat here. I'm here. I had an impression Google Docs would be a light version of Microsoft Word and Excel with less features and customizable abilities. And that's true. Google Docs does have less features overall than the Office suite. However, that is not to say that it's not useful, because it really, really is. And you'll find out some of the excellent ways that Google Docs can be used, both with other people in collaboration and just for yourself, for many, many uses that people have. All right. Somebody mentioned wanting to learn about track changes, and we will be talking about revisions. I'll show you where to find that information. Okay, so let me share my screen and we'll get right into Google Docs. I'm going to bring up the Brave browser because, as you may or may not know, the Google Suite is totally within your browser. So whether you use Google Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Brave, Opera, or any of the other browsers, you're going to be doing everything within that browser window. And so as you can see here, I've logged into Google Drive already using my account. And this is usually what you see when you go to drive.google.com. And what Google Drive is it's kind of the base. It's where the whole suite rests, and it's where all the files are. So it's, as you can see, you've got the folders, you've got the files, you've got some quick links here. You can see anything that's been shared with you. You can upload files from your computer, which means take files from your computer and put them here. And if a Microsoft Office file, you can also view it with Google Drive. Because I've only used a very small amount of the storage, which is down here on the left side, 53 kilobytes out of 15 gigabytes. That's like this much of the possible storage. And if all you're using is documents like this, then you have your lifetime of storage availability. So here we are in Google Drive, and I already have already created some documents. And so we will start by just going to one of these documents called Oleg's Fantastical Document. So as you can see, it's right here because I edited it yesterday. So it's one of the things that I've clicked on the most. And it's also right down here, Oleg's Fantastical Document, last modified on July 10th, 2023. Let's double click on that. So when I double click on that, it comes right up, and this is what Google Docs looks like. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over the whole screen from the top down. And so if you're an intermediate or advanced user, this may be repetition for you, but stick with us because you might get something new that you haven't seen before, because there's a lot of features buried within Google Docs and you'll want to see those. So let's start at the very top of the page. What we have here is the Google Docs logo. If we click on that, it'll take us to the Google Docs home, which is the place. It's sort of like a tangential to Google Drive, where only the Google Docs files are located, as opposed to Google Drive, where you'll see all of your files. So Google Drive, you'll see all of the different files from the Google Suite, everything you can create, Google Docs, Google Sheets, slides and forms, and more. Whereas in the Google Docs section, docs.google.com, you will see just the Google Docs. And you can see that there's various options for templates here. Like if you wanted to create a resume, somebody had asked earlier whether you can create a resume in Google Docs. The answer is 1000% yes, yes. It's available for you, so you don't have to do your own formatting. And some options of those are right over here. So I'm going to go back to Oleg's Fantastical Document. Here's the title of the document, Oleg's Fantastical Document. If I wanted to change that, I can just click on it to change it. My spelling is off. Oleg's Phantasmagorical Document. Never mind. Oleg Phantasmic Document. That's not really a word, but it doesn't matter. You can put anything you want in your title. Your titles can also be pretty long. So if by default you don't create a title, what it'll do is it'll just take the first few words in your document and make those your title. So let's change the title back so you can see how easy it is, to Oleg's Fantastical Document. Now it also tells you when you click on it where it is in my drive, and that means it's at the very top layer of my Google Drive. If I click on this, I can also move it to different places. So let's go back here. I can also move it to different places. So I've got two different folders here, Personal Finance and Staff Retreat. And if I wanted to move to one of those folders, I can just click here, open that folder, and then click Move here. I'm not going to do that now, but just saying that it is a possibility. So you'll notice as I go through this that there are multiple ways to do things in Google Docs. And that's one of the neat features of it, that there are entry points to these various features with that keyboard, with various places you can click. So there's other ways to move your document, and this is just one of them. So next we have star. Star makes it so that your document is easy to find. If you have thousands of documents in your Google Drive, if you star it, then you can just search for starred documents. So it's like a bookmark in a way, and that'll come up in Google Drive. So here you'll be able to see your starred documents right here. So next, we're going to go right here. So here's another move. So again, multiple ways to get into things. So you can click here and it'll come up with move. And then here also the same kind of window where you can, or this little pop-up where you can move. You can even create a new folder if you want to and move the document into a new folder. So you can do a little bit of organization from within the document window. Here, it tells you that your document status is updated. So all changes saved to Drive. That means they're saved to the Google server. So they're saved in the cloud. So whenever you want to access it from any computer that's connected to the internet and has a browser, you can do that. And it just saves automatically. So unlike in the past where you had to regularly save your documents, Google Docs will auto-save everything that you do, like every few seconds. So you never have to worry about your computer shutting down and losing your whole file, as many of us have over the years. There's also a way to store your document for offline use, and that's a whole nother topic that we can cover, but here's a way to turn that on. Usually you have to download a little something onto your computer, and then it'll sync up and store your documents offline as well. Convenient if you have a unreliable internet connection. So I'm not going to turn that on now, but know that it is possible. Moving forward, we're going to actually move over to the right. And here you can see there's a little clock icon with an arrow, and we're going to click on that. And that's the version history. So we're talking about track changes earlier. Somebody mentioned that in the chat. And this is one way to track the changes to a document. So unrelated to the track changes that are in the Microsoft Office suite for editing. Those are available in a way in Google Docs as well. But this is the version history of this document. So you can see on the right-hand side, version history, you can see all versions, some of the name of versions. If I name specific versions, then only those will come up. But here's all the documents. So you can see that I created this document on May 18th at 11:58. And at that time, it looked like this. It was just a blank page. And then I wrote hello and welcome to my doc on July 10th, which was yesterday. I did some more editing. I used WordArt to create Fantastical, and here we are in the current version. I also made some intermediary changes, and you can see I clicked the little arrow here, and it gave me some intermediary changes. So as you can see, it saved versions of this file every 2 minutes, every 1 minute, like every change that I made, it saved. So if I go to this random change, you can see that my Fantastical at some point looked like this before I made it green. And then a little bit later, it's green. I also was fiddling around with Google Docs by importing things. And so at that point, I had a folder, I had made some drawings. And I can go restore any of these versions. So I can, all I have to do is click restore this version and I get it back, which is convenient if somebody went into your document and fiddled with the changes. You can also make a copy. So you can grab a version and make it a whole new file, which is also convenient if you're a writer, for instance. And we'll talk about some applications for writers. If you're a writer and you want to grab a draft from before to see what you had written, or if you want to kind of fork your own novel, you can do that by making a copy and just work on that version all over again. It's really nice if you really liked a draft that you had before, but you've been editing it for a year and you want to go back to what you had a year ago, or just to see the changes. You can really, really easily do that with Google Docs. Google Docs is all about collaboration, so you can use it on your own, and mostly I use it on my own when I'm at home. But if you're using it for work, or if you're planning something with other people in your life, for instance, a book club or a wedding, you can use the collaborative features. So one of those collaborative features is the comment history. And so at some point I had made a comment, just a emoji here, uh, about something over here. It's no longer around, but because the text that I had commented on is no longer here, but I'll show you comments in a bit. But this just gives you all the comments that are around, and you can do for you, open, resolved. You can see all the different comments that you or somebody else had made on your document by clicking this little window here. And then still on the idea of collaboration, here's a way to easily create a meeting with your collaborators. So if you have a couple of people editing this document at the same time, you can immediately start a new video or audio chat using Google Suite. I think it's Google Hangouts or Google Meet, whatever that the current program is that Google uses for, like Zoom, for synchronous communication. So you can start a new meeting right away. You can see any meetings that are on your calendar regarding this document. And of course, the share feature. Sharing is key to collaboration. So if I wanted to share this document, I could share it in many ways by clicking the share button here. Currently, as you saw when I hovered over this, it was private to only me. So I'm the only one who has access to this document. However, I theoretically can share it with all of you by simply going to anyone with a link. So right now, Oleg's Light Shop, which is me, which is my account here, is the only person with access. I can add people who are in, who I've sent emails to in the past, or I can just share it with anybody, anyone with a link. So, and there's options about how to share it. So what kind of access they get. So anyone with a link, they can be a viewer, so they can just look at the document and not make any changes. They can also be a commenter. So if you want somebody to review a draft of something that you've created, you can make them a commenter, and they'll be able to leave comments about specific parts of your draft and not edit it at all. That's the way we do track changes in Google Docs. They can comment, and then you can make changes if you want to. You can also let them be an editor, which gives them all the privileges of messing up your document or improving your draft. They can make any change they want. Of course, everything is saved in the revision history, so you can revert those changes if you need to. So if I wanted a free-for-all, I would do this, and I would share this link with you. Now, what I am going to do is share some of the other documents I've created with you, just in case you're interested. But for now, I'm not going to share this one with anybody because this is a very simple one. All I have to do is copy link, and link copied, and then I can just paste it wherever I want it to go. And then, of course, all the way on the right-hand side here is just my account information. Now, within these menus here is all of the power of Google Docs. It's a lot of power, but it's also, and this makes me comfortable and hopefully makes you, it's limited. It's not total power. Still, with this power comes great responsibility, and I'm going to show you some of the features that you can be responsible for if you use Google Docs. So I'm just taking a quick second to look at the chat to make sure I'm not missing anything. Somebody mentioned, how do I see a previous recording of the Google in-depth tour of Google Sheets? I will share that with you in the follow-up email. Somebody mentioned, can punctuation be used in a document title? Yes. So the limits are not very stringent on document titles with Google Docs. I imagine there's a limit to the amount of characters you can use, but you can pretty much, as far as I know, use any characters you want within the titles. Now, if you do have questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, because otherwise, if they're in the chat, I am liable to miss them because the chat moves pretty fast. If you have them in the Q&A, then you can have them. So somebody asked, how do you create a document? And I'm going to show you that very quickly. All you do is hit, when you're in Google Drive, you hit New, and just click on Google Docs. And what you get is this blank document. The page looks exactly like the one we have just been going through, but it's just totally blank. And the default title is untitled document. If I create, this is my document, it'll automatically over time just populate this and make this the document. So I'm going to erase this untitled document because I don't need it at the moment. And leave this here. Okay, so let's move forward, and trust me, I will leave you time for Q&A because there's potential for a lot of questions. So file, edit, view, insert, format, tools, extensions, and help. Let's go through some of the features of these. So here's file. And this is where, just like in most windows on a computer, you have your basic features. If you want to create a new document, you can do that. You can create a new document, create a document template gallery, open, make a copy. When you make a copy, it just creates exactly the same thing and throws it into your Google Doc. It'll also let you, it'll usually be called copy of Oleg's Fantastical document or whatever your document title is. The share features are all here, similar to what you would have right here. Again, many things in many different places, or the same things in many different places. Share is here. If you wanted to email this file or email a draft, you can do that through here. Because Google Docs is tied to a Gmail account, there's some integration of Gmail as well as the other Google Suite applications. You can download this file in various formats. This is really, really convenient because if, for instance, you're making a resume, you can immediately export it as a PDF. PDF stands for Portable Document Format. PDFs are files that can't be edited by other people. They maintain their format. So if you're sending a resume to somebody, you don't want anybody to mess with it, or if you don't want the format to get fouled up in transmission, then you can export as a PDF. I recommend saving it as resume, your name, maybe a date, and sending that over via email or however they let you upload or move your document from your computer to their system. And you can create a variety of PDFs, and then, but you have the base document right here. You can also save as plain text. You can save it as an .html web page, EPUB. So if you want to create an ebook, you can directly export your Google Doc as an ebook. So that's an interesting option. The formatting will not be precisely like you might see a book, when you flip the pages, but it is an interesting option, and you can really format Google Docs to look like a book. So it's a nice option. You can interplay with, interrelate. You can connect with Microsoft Word. I see .text, Open Document, which would Open Office uses, rich text, and variety of other export formats. Very convenient. One of the best features, I think, in making Google Drive and Google Docs interoperable with the other software out there. You can rename your file, same as clicking on here. You move it, add to shortcuts. So all these things right here are the things we've seen before. Move to trash if you want to just delete it. Version history. Again, we saw the version history up above with the clock right here. Details about the document, location, who the owner is. So if you're collaborating, this is important because if you're the owner, you have complete control over this document. If you're not, then you might be able to edit it, but you can't, for instance, delete it. You can't do a bunch of other things with it. When it was last modified, when it was created, just basic details. And then you can change the language of the document. If you change the language and you have it written in English, you'll get a bunch of little squiggly lines underneath saying that you spelled all the words wrong because they're a different language. Speaking of languages, Google Docs will translate documents for you. I'm going to show you that in a little bit. Page setup. This is primarily for printing, but also for the way you view the document. And so you can apply the whole document, change the margin sizes. So Google Docs it stands at a place in between born digital and staying digital and printing, because Google knows that in the office environment and the personal environment, people will need still to print their documents, but some people know that they're never going to print. They're always going to use their documents here on their phone, on the computer. And so you have various options to make that happen. You can even change the background of the page. If I wanted to make it red, I could. I'm going to do that just so you can see what it looks like. And no, not to do that in the future. If you want people to be able to look comfortably at your documents, I recommend keeping the colors of the background of your document pretty light. I'm going to move it back to white. Change the margins, change the landscape portrait. You can also make it pageless, which means that it's just going to be a big infinite canvas. I like using this if I know the document is just going to be purely digital. So if I do that, you can see that my document is now unending. Over here, it's just white. Over here, it's just white. Everywhere, it's just white. The main part of the document will be right here between these lines, but I can expand this to make it bigger if I want to. It's, you can make it blow up wide. If you have a giant screen, you can have a giant document and writing all through the document. Completely up to you. I'm going to switch it back to make it look like it was before. Pages. Okay, and now I'm back to the format we recognize where this is a single page. And then of course, print options. These are typical options that you want for printing. You can also save as PDF. This is exactly the same as exporting as a PDF. It'll save the document as a PDF on your computer. I don't have any printers connected to this computer, so there's no printers here. But what we can do is we can print specific pages, amount of copies, whether we want to color black and white, and more specific options. Quality, if you have images, if you want it to be really, really detailed, you can make the DPI higher, dots per inch higher. And scale, you can make it a little bit, look a little small, look a little bigger. A variety of options. And then if you open this, then it'll kick it over to your computer to let your computer and your printer determine some of these settings. Let's move on to edit. Some of you may know undo and redo. Some of my favorite features that word processors have. If I typed something like my name is Oleg, but I didn't want anybody to really know that, I could go to edit, undo, and it would undo that whole typing. But oh, wait, never mind. I really want it to be there. Then I'm going to click redo. You can see that there's also Control Y. So a lot of these things have keyboard shortcuts. I'm a fan of keyboard shortcuts. If you're a power user, they make your computer life a lot faster. So if I wanted to press Control Y or Control Z, and what I usually do when I want to undo is I just press Control Z. I use my pinky to press Control and hold it, and the other finger to press Z. And it's a lot faster than going all over the place with my mouse and clicking. I'm going to remove my name is Oleg from here because you already know what my name is. Copy and paste. Again, you probably know what that is. You can take a piece of text, highlight it. I'm going to push Control X to cut. Just Control V, bring it down here. The power of a word processor, very amazing 40 years ago, not as amazing now, but still great features. Let's bring it back. I'm going to go edit. I don't even need to highlight. I'm just going to go to edit, undo, and it'll bring it back to where it was before. Welcome. It was actually 3 steps because I cut it. I made a space down here, and then I pasted it. So it's 3 clicks of undo to bring welcome back here. Paste without formatting. If you're pasting from a different place, like a website or something that has formatted text that's all funky, you can paste without formatting. I really like pushing Control Shift V. I use this all the time because it'll clean up your text, make it easier to read, and you can create whatever format you want. Select all the text you have in your document. It also selects spaces that you have. So you know that there's spaces. There's actually secret spaces here that you can't see that you've made because you've pressed enter. So just line breaks. And then find and replace, another feature that I like a lot. Control H. I know that keyboard shortcut by heart because I use it a lot. You can find anything in your document, any word, and replace it with any other word. So if you have a 90-page document, or if you're a writer and you have a character whose name is Philip and you want that character's name to be Greg, you can always find all the Philip in the document and replace it with Greg and match case. Ignore line diacritics, etc. And then you could just replace all and it'll do it immediately and you don't have to think about it anymore. Philip becomes Greg. If I wanted to replace and with an ampersand, I can also do that. I'm going to push Control H to bring that back. Usually you can also do edit, find, and replace. I'm going to replace the and, I immediately found it, with an ampersand and hit replace. And there we go. The magic of word processing. That's all we have in the edit. Now, I'm not going to go through every single feature in every one of these menus because we would be here for another hour. But I'm going to show you a few of them. So with view, it's the way that things look. So we can switch to editing, suggesting, or viewing mode. And those are the ones that are the adjacent or contiguous or consistent with the sharing modes. You can let somebody edit when they share. You can let somebody just put comments. You can let somebody just view when you share, and you can also see what that looks like for you. Show print layout. That's already pretty much the way it is. There's not that much changes. I think it pretty much removes the line from down here. So it removes what the page looks like. Show ruler. There's 2 rulers on the page right now. There's this one here. There's this one here. Most of the time, if we're not going to be changing the size of the pages or indentations, we don't need the rulers. So we can just remove that and make the page look a little cleaner. Show outline view. There's no outline view, but I'll show you what that looks like in a future document. Equation toolbar. If you're doing math equations, you can use the equation toolbar. Very few people do that with this specific program because it's not the program that you would typically do math with. So we're going to unclick that and then show non-printing characters. Now this is interesting because this used to be the default way that Microsoft Word would display documents. So non-printing characters are characters that are not going to be printed. They're also characters that are not actually useful, it's part of the content of the document. But it's convenient to put this on sometimes if you're concerned about spacing and where paragraph breaks are. So here you can see the little dots are indicating a single space. If I press the space bar and add another space or another 2 spaces, you can see how many spaces there are with these little dots. You remove the dots, that means I remove the spaces. This is a paragraph break. So that's when I talked about extra spaces being in the document that are invisible, you can make them visible by allowing these paragraph breaks. So if I press backspace, I just removed all those paragraph breaks. So convenient to use non-printing characters if you're concerned about formatting and need the details of formatting. Now, if I was talking about writer features, there are a lot of software out there that attempts to remove the distractions from the screen as you're writing. Google Docs is also good with that. You can have full screen mode and have this very, very simple document so you can focus just on your writing. You can technically remove all these tabs, your browser tabs on top too, because your browser probably has a full screen feature as well. I'm not going to do that now, but you can really make it so it's just the page on the screen. And if you want to remove this, you can right click. And so I just right click the mouse and I'm going to do exit full screen. Insert gives you a ton of options. So you can insert images going here from many different places. The neat thing is you can insert images from the web. So if I wanted to insert image of a cat here, let me just type in cat noir. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to click it. How about this? The chat noir. I'm going to insert this image. It's going to put it in a weird place. And that's it. If I want to change the size of it, I can change the size of it by dragging these little boxes. You can see the arrows pop up. This will let me move it to different places. If I want to put it, so right now, it's moving the text. So it's putting it in line so that the text moves around it. Text will also move to the side of it. I can put it in front of the text. So in front of whatever I have, if the image is very important. I can also put it in a very specific position on the page so it doesn't move at all. And the various other options, size and rotation, adjustments, image options, a lot of image options that you have. Here's my chat noir. So this doesn't move around the image because this is not actually text. This is actually an image. And we'll see that in a moment. You can create tables. Creating tables is really simple. A table is just like a mini spreadsheet without as many features. You can create a small one, you create a big one. And this is just the one you create initially. It expands in different directions. So it goes up to 20 here, but it can actually be bigger. You can just insert your own rows and columns. There's also specific templates you can use in case these are mostly business oriented, in case you want Google to create something for you. Drawing is a fun little feature, although one that I found not super useful for my most everyday use. I'm just going to give you, I'm going to get rid of the chat. If I want to insert a drawing, I can insert one from Drive, one that I've already created, which I don't have one at the moment. But if I'm going to go to New, then it gives you a page. This is not actually like drawing, so you don't actually have like a pencil where you can draw, but you have some kind of structured document. So you can create different shapes. You can create various lines, curved lines, poly lines, scribbles. So scribbles would be something similar to just drawing, but you're using your mouse, so you don't have that many. So you can create a text box, you create different text, and then insert an image. If I wanted to create, an image, I can insert one from my computer, I can find one from the web, get one from my Google Photos album, Google Drive, etc. Search, just like I did with the cat earlier. I can also do it here. If I want to draw, let me try the scribble feature. Whee! There we go. So then if I want to move this around, so you want to click off this. There we go. Otherwise it would start drawing another line. So I can move this around. I can change the color probably. Yeah, I can change it to orange. And then I can change the size of the line, where the line starts, where the line ends. I can make it bigger, make the line thicker. So here's my doodle. I can insert my doodle into the document, and it inserts basically just like an image. So all the features that I had of the Chat Noir are now applicable to my doodle here. Now it looks like it's white in the background, but it's actually, you can't actually see through it. It will, oh no, you can. Oh, this saved as a transparent image. That's convenient. So if you want to somehow mess with your text, you can put images on top of things. So I'm going to erase that. You can insert charts, which I'll show you later. You don't create these from within Google Docs, you create them using Google Sheets. So you can create, so if you click on one of these right here, it'll open up Google Sheets for you, and you can insert your data and then import it back into Google Docs automatically, or you can select one from a different file. And I've already created a few, so I'm going to show you this a bit later. This is one I created yesterday with data that's basically meaningless. But if I select this document, it'll pull out the specific chart from it, and I can see link to spreadsheet so that it'll update as I update that one, and insert that, and here it is. So if I go to the source of this, open source, and I update some of these numbers. So if I update this to 100, period 2, 100, much bigger than all the rest. Team 1 is really good. And then I go back to here. It knew there was something updated, so it pinged Google Docs and it brought up this update. So it doesn't update automatically, but if you click this, there it is. It was now updated. I'm going to erase that. Just the stuff that's insert really is worth the price of admission. So you can insert horizontal line, emojis. We all know what emojis are. You can insert emojis into your document. Smartships, I'm going to show you in a little bit. Drop downs, it's related to Smartships. You can essentially create a drop down menu. I'll show you that in a little bit. Footnotes, so there's a whole citation system within Google Docs. It's not as complex as software like Zotero, and probably not even as complex as Microsoft Word, but sometimes the lack of complexity is actually good, because things can be so complicated you don't want to get into it. So using the features here, make it a list. So there's a footnote right below it. So this is an emoji. Look at those beautiful teeth. There we go. So this is related to that. Since this is the pages here is endless, this comes up over here. So this will always be on the bottom. This footnote will always be below the text. Building blocks. So building blocks are just different parts of a document that are pre-created. And there's a few different. So email draft, you can actually create an email draft within Google Docs and then send it using Gmail. Pretty neat. If you want to take meeting notes, there's a template for meeting notes. You can also create your own templates, but these are the ones that are here before. Special characters, you can select special characters to include. The characters it depends on what you consider special, but these are special for typography. So if I wanted to include this black circle with a down arrow, I can do that, or this twisted right arrows. Right arrows. There, I just added 3 of these to my document. I only need 1. I don't really even need 1. Equations, we saw the equation toolbar earlier. This is another example of features being in multiple places. If I want to create a watermark, I can add a watermark to a document. So if you are a writer or an inventor or whatever, you want to send drafts of your stuff out, if you want to print it, you can add watermarks to every page. Headers and footers, use that top portion of the page right up here. You can make it different on the first page if the first page is your report title page. So you can include page numbers here automatically. So you can create page numbers in the header or the footer, show on first page or not show on first. Let's show on first page. So here's number 1. If I want to put this all the way on the right, I can put this on the right by going to using this toolbar here and going to the right, or I can put it in the middle. This is page 1. If I go to page 2, it'll automatically do page 2. Page breaks. If I want to create page breaks, I can do that at any place, or section breaks at any place. Section breaks are convenient if you're creating a report and you want certain headings to start at their own page, so that they're always going to be on the next page. No matter how the spacing is above it, it'll always automatically put it on the next page. I use this for reports where I need the structures to stay very specific, like manuals, different kind of reports. If I have things that I know we're going to expand and break a certain page, I want it to be on a specific page, then I'll use these kind of section breaks. You can make anything into a link. If I want my to be a link to my.com, I can right click and make it into a link, insert link. I can also do my insert link, or I can press Control K, which is what I use. But into link, and then you could just do my.com, whatever that is. I don't know if that's a real website. Google will suggest sites for you. I guess my.com is a real website. There's a login page. If I can do yahoo.com, and it'll give me yahoo.com, or you can link to documents within your own Google Drive. So if I want to link to this very document in Spanish, I've just done that. Again, link, comment, emoji reaction. I think this emoji reaction is to this specific, it's like a comment of an emoji. And so if I wanted to comment that I really like this link, I made a comment. It's the same thing as what you would press right here. So this will pop up if you go to a specific area. This will automatically, you can add a comment, emoji reaction, and suggest edits. All right, and then bookmark, I'll show you in a little bit. And you can automatically create a table of contents if you have specific subject headings in your document. You can automatically create a table of contents at the top or anywhere in your document, and it'll scour your document for subject headings or for headings, and it will automatically create that for you. So again, if you're writing a book and or a report, and you want the table of contents automatically generated, it'll do that for you. It'll change the page numbers for you. It's a very convenient, handy tool. Moving on to format. You can format text to make it look different. So bold, italics, underline, strike through. You can make something superscript or subscript. These are typical word processor features. Again, all have keyboard shortcuts. Change the size and capitalization of documents. If I wanted to make all of this uppercase, I don't have to retype it. I can go to text, capitalization, uppercase, boom. I don't want to keep it that way. So I'm going to push Control Z to undo. And various paragraph styles. So headings is something that's convenient to use, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit later. There's 6 levels of headings, which is great. So you can create documents that go all the way down into details, and you can create your own styles for headings. Google has default styles, but I don't really like their default styles, so I always create my own if I need them. Align and indent. Again, it's something that you'll see right here. If you want your text to be all the way left, in the middle, the right, or justified like a book, so it spreads it out so the text is going from left to right with spaces that are automatically generated. You can do justified. If you want to indent something, you can increase the indent, decrease the indent, and there's options for that. Line spacing. So you might see here that this is the space between the lines of text. By default, they're 1.15. I usually like when they're single. So the difference is, I'm going to highlight all of this. This is actually Fantastica, it's not actually text, but we'll see what it does. So if we do the paragraph styles, we want align and indent, and then line spacing. So we want to do single, make a little bit the space between these a little smaller. In school, you may or may not remember, you may not have been at a time where double spacing was the de rigueur for essays. So here's double space. That's 2 spaces, 2 line spaces for each line. It makes things easier for editing, though not as important with Google Docs where you have comments and stuff. All right. Headers and footers, we saw that already. Page numbers, we saw that already. It automatically generated a page number for you. Page orientation changes their page from landscape which is horizontal, to portrait, which is vertical. Right now it's vertical because that's the default. And then we can always clear formatting from any text. So I have a link here, and if I want to clear the formatting, I can either press Control/ or just clear formatting. And it just removed the formatting, made it to the default. This is 36 font. My default is 11, Arial 11. So I'm going to switch to 36. Tools also gives you a variety of options, but I feel like in terms of time, I want to show you some other stuff. So I'm not going to go through all the tools, but I will give you a sense of what they are. So we've got here spelling and grammar check. You can also add specific words if you use words that are not known to the dictionary. So if you're writing a fantasy novel with all kinds of weird place names and other kind of words that are not invented yet, you can add them to your personal dictionary. So if I think squiggly is a word, see, it's even giving me a little red squiggly line telling me this is not really a word, but if I want to say this is a real word, now if I type in squiggly spelled that way, it's not going to give me it's not going to give me a improper line. So it capitalized it because there's a period here, it automatically capitalized it. So it's not going to give me a red line, it gives me another line because I think there's an extra space here. There we go. So it'll help you out with spelling and grammar. I don't always use the grammar suggestions because they're not always on target with the rhythm of your writing, but they're good to know if you want sort of base suggestions for helping with your grammar. Word count is convenient if you care about that sort of thing. If you're a writer and you want to know your word count at all times, you can display word count while typing. Here it gives you the number of pages, word count, characters, kind of stats for people who are interested in writing. There are 7 words in this document. Click on here, I can get all of those details. If I want to hide this down here, hide word count. I can compare multiple documents. I can review suggested edits if I had shared this with somebody and gave them the ability to comment or make edits. I can review those, compare multiple documents. The citations is for the citation system that I was telling you about. If you're a student or an academic, or just a person who likes to put citations in your documents, let me know, and I will put that in the follow-up email about how to do that. Explore lets you search your document and search the web for various things. So if we wanted to search for the word doc, we can use the Explore feature. So I highlighted doc. Explore just lets you search for stuff within the document. So I think it automatically went to Docs. So Google Docs is the first thing that comes up. It does image search. So if you want to do a little bit of research without leaving Google Docs, you can do that using Explore. With Google Sheets, Explore also brings to bear machine learning on your spreadsheet, which is a convenient feature. Here, it doesn't do that as much. Linked objects will show later. Dictionary, you can look words up right within your document. So also convenient if you're maybe a non-native English speaker, or if you run into words that you're not familiar with or want a word and are not sure what it means, you can use the dictionary right in here. So you can highlight a word, or you can just type in your own word. Composer, the person who writes music. We can translate a document. I had translated this document to Spanish earlier, and I want to show you what that looks like. So if you click Translate Document, you can translate it into all sorts of languages. The translations are not bad. They're not amazing. I mean, they're not perfect, but they're not bad. So this is the document that I translated into Spanish. So it doesn't translate fantastical because, again, fantastical is an image. So it can't translate because it doesn't parse the text within it, but it translated everything else. Back here, you can do voice typing. I tried to do voice typing yesterday, and for some reason, my browser didn't connect with the microphone correctly. I can try it right now live. Maybe that's not the best thing to do, but I'm going to try it and see if it works. I'm going to allow my browser to do this. And let's see if it actually, hello, hello, hello. No, for some reason this doesn't work properly. I'm going to need to troubleshoot how the voice typing works. I've used it before, so I know that it exists and it's possible to use it, but I think it may only be available within Google Chrome. And since I'm using the Brave browser, it doesn't connect with the microphone properly. Notification settings. So this is for settings in case you want to know when people comment, etc., on your document if you're doing a lot of collaboration. Various preferences to show if it wants to automatically change things, automatic correct spelling, show reply suggestions, insert emojis. If you push colon and the parenthesis. If you want to substitute certain symbols, you could probably substitute certain words too if you really want to. So if anytime somebody types Greg into the document, it'll automatically replace it with Philip. We talked about that earlier for our writing with Control H. This just does it live. You can mess with people this way. I don't recommend it, but what you do with your practical jokes, that's up to you. You can prank somebody by using this feature. And accessibility allows you to turn on screen reader support, turn on screen magnifier support for people who are hard of hearing, hard of seeing. These are features that are convenient. There's accessibility settings within tools. Extensions are add-ons you can create. So you can write app scripts. That's beyond the scope of this course, but if you want to learn the Google scripting language, you can learn, and you can do all kinds of programmatic things with your documents and extend the features, write your own features for Google Docs. You can do that. Add-ons are features that other people have written. I very rarely use this, but if I went to get add-ons, you can see that there are many options that will do all sorts of stuff. Translate all, specific Salesforce software Zendesk connector will connect with Google Docs and let you do something. You can do form builders, you can do math, make diagrams, all sorts of various things that people have created. Some of them cost money, some of them are free, but they are built to integrate with Google Docs. And then, of course, if you're interested in help, there's a whole bunch of training available. You can see what updates are coming up in Google Docs in terms of service, privacy policy. You can see all the keyboard shortcuts. I don't think they let you create keyboard shortcuts, but you can see the various keyboard shortcuts that exist. All right, and then here is the toolbar, which is the editing toolbar. Most of these features we've seen before, but they're here for convenience because they're easier to click over here. So quickly go through them: undo, redo, print, spelling and grammar check. This is the paint format tool. So paint format is if you want a format from one place in your document to translate over to another place in your document, we can easily do that. So if I want to make hello bold and maybe a different font, let's say Playfair Display is a neat font. So if I want the rest of my document to be in Playfair Display, I can highlight this and click paint format and select the rest of my document. Oh, never mind, I moved that. So I did that wrong. If I wanted to I want to highlight that, click paint format, and then select the rest of it. And then it'll automatically change the format of the rest of the document to what I had highlighted earlier. So if I want to change this back to, let's do it Oswald and make it maybe smaller, maybe 30, because everything's too big and not bold. Make it a little bit more humble. Then I'm going to, so I have this highlighted, click paint format, and then I'm going to select, oh, I'm too close. So I need to be somewhere, I need to be a little further away, otherwise it's going to try to select the same file, the same word. Like this all, and then it changes automatically to this. So this is the zoom, moving on from paint format. So I can fit the document to my screen. I can also zoom in a whole lot, and I can zoom out. I usually like to use around 90. I think it's about the default. That way I can see the page. So it looks like a page to me, but if you want to be really zoomed in, you can be really zoomed like this. This is also convenient if you zoom out. It's convenient if you want to see what your whole entire page looks like from a design perspective. You can do that here. This page is not beautiful. Here are the headings. So headings are basically just structural features of your document. So they aesthetically look a certain way, but they can also be used for the outline. And they're good for generating tables of contents. I think if you have a long document and you want it to be formatted neatly, I recommend using the built-in headings. So you can apply heading 1, and that creates your default. So if I want to make, for instance, let's say if I want to make hello a heading, I can apply, just click on heading 1, and that makes this a first heading. And if we want to open outline view, hide the side panel. If we want to open outline view, then we would then this would come up. I think this is the only heading, so there's no outline view at this moment, but this would come up. But if I wanted to make my headings look all a certain way, if I wanted them all to be impact, and let's say 50, if I wanted all my first headings to be like this, then I can click that, go to headings, and update headings to match. So now my heading 1 is all like this, and if I wanted doc to be a heading, oops, click the wrong button. I want a doc to be a heading, then I can highlight doc, go to heading 1. You can see that it changed to the font impact and bigger. And there we go. Oh, I think it selected other things automatically because this was part of the line, normal text. Then I think because doc was part of the line, now I'm going to do heading. Now it's going to become by itself. So now doc is a heading as well. So there's that. Let's see if where's my outline view? Never mind, we'll do it later. Okay. So that's that heading. So you can change the fonts. There are a variety of fonts available within Google Docs. You can also do more fonts. You can add fonts from Google's library, and there's a whole bunch of them. If you're a typography fan, there's fun stuff for you to look at. I like to use IBM Plex Sans. That's my default font for Microsoft Notepad because I think it's kind of neat, and it's also the default font for my website. So I learned about it from Google Fonts. So you can add all sorts of fonts, change the size of the fonts by pressing plus or minus, or just clicking here and typing in the number. You can make text bold, italics, or underline. I don't recommend using more than one of these at any one time, because it makes your text look really busy. I also don't recommend using underlines on the computer unless there's a special reason, because people are so used to considering underlines to be links. So if you make this underline, people are going to try to click on it. Hey, why isn't this doing anything? Why isn't this going anywhere? Because they're used to seeing if there's a document and there's text on the computer, they're thinking it's underlined, so that means it's a link. So I recommend mostly using bold and italics. There's also, as we saw earlier, different kind of formatting features. So there's also strike through. So if we want to cross out hello, we can do that. We can change the text color really easily. Select all these preset features. We can also pick a color from anywhere in the document. And so we'll use this green and change this to green. We can highlight the text in the background, make it kind of like this word, and then make it gray. So it's gray in the background. Now you can't even read the word. Something to consider. If we want to create a link, we saw that we can do this in various ways, but if we want to insert link, we can also do that here. Add a comment, we can do that here. Insert an image. Alignment, so we talked about alignment earlier, make something appear on the right, left, middle, justified. Line spacing, so this is the same as format paragraph styles, or format line paragraph spacing. Also appears right here. If we want to make check marks in checkboxes, checklists, we can do that here. Insert bulleted menus. And the nice thing with bullet menus is oh, I just made this into a bullet. There's also various options for it. There's formatting options for checklists and bullet options, and so you make them pretty. And then again, decrease, increase indent, clear formatting. So again, these features exist elsewhere, but they're also here. And then you can see here what mode you're using: editing, suggesting, or viewing. And you can remove the top bar as well. So if you want simplicity, some extra simplicity, to remove all this right here from your screen. Okay, so it's 12:08. We've covered all the basics. We've covered the screen. I hope you stick with me. I still have a little bit of time, and well, I'm going to spend all the time that I need here. You'll be able to see this on YouTube if you need to go, but we've covered all of these kind of things. I want to show you a practical application of Google Docs, and I hope you stick with me for this. But if not, you can always watch it later, of course. So let me just look at I'm going to take care of the chat here. Somebody says, is there a cost to use Google Docs? Google Docs is absolutely free with a Google account, and a Google account is free. Somebody, there's no save button. Indeed, there's no save button. It automatically saves everything that you do, so you don't have to worry about saving. Can you save the doc in more than one folder? Yes, you can. You can put the doc in a variety of folders. Can I still access, excuse me, version history if I create the Google Doc as an assignment in the Google Classroom? That I don't know. I don't know what the specific features of Google Classroom, but if it looks like this, I mean, if you're using Google Docs, you should be able to see access version history. So can you take a recorded document and use the voice typing to type out the recorded information? Yeah, you should be able to. Okay. Yeah, so there's other questions in the Q&A. There's quite a lot of questions in the Q&A, and I'm going to answer just the very first top, and then we're going to move in to the practical application of this presentation. And again, you could always watch it on YouTube later if you want to, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can, a few right now and more after the presentation. So somebody here asked, can I use Google Docs for creating a resume? Yes, 100 times yes. Please use Google Docs for creating your resume. Must you have a document you're working on in your Google Drive? Yes, unless it's shared with you, and then it's theoretically still within your Google Drive, but also within somebody else's Google Drive. So yeah, you have to have it in your Google Drive in order to edit it. So let me mention, how do you create a document? Various ways. You can do it from your Drive window, or you can go to File, New. How do I drop a document into a folder that is in the doc folder? If you want to move your documents, you can do that by going to this little move thing here. And you can select the folder. And there's a little, sorry, move my window here. Select the folder, there's a little arrow. Open up that folder, you see what's inside, and click Move Here. And when you click Move Here, it'll move it to that folder. Will it save on and offline at the same time? So if you have the syncing feature enabled, then it'll be syncing constantly. So yeah, it'll save off and online at the same time. Most people by default don't have that feature available, so it'll only save online. Is Google Suite free? Yes, it is. It seems like in order to share, the other party needs to have an account in Google Drive. Yes, so they can view it without an account in Google Drive, but if they want to edit it, they do have to have a Google account. That's part of the interoperability of it, which is, or in some way, I guess it's sort of lack of interoperability in that situation. Yeah, you would need to have a Google account if you wanted to make edits to the document. Although, you know, if you if it's anyone with a link, then anyone can open it. But if you want to share it with a specific person, yeah, they have to have you have to give them access if they don't have a Google account. Can you save the doc in more than one folder? I believe you can. I think that is possible. I have never tried it. Can you move text from Google Docs to Word or vice versa? So you can actually upload your whole file into Google Docs and use it all in Google Docs, and then you can export it and download it to your computer as a Word document, and it'll just move back and forth. Now you can also copy and paste text back and forth, and that should be fine. The formatting might get a little wonky, but yeah, you should be able to move text, copy and paste text back and forth if you want to do that. But yeah, the files can be opened in both. Regarding the letter dated June 27th, the attached document referred to a portion of the cost of an airline ticket that I had purchased on May 19th. Oh, that has nothing to do with this presentation. I don't know what that question is related to. Will you ever need to save the document, or does it get saved for you? It saves for you. Auto save to where in the computer? So it doesn't save anywhere in your computer. It saves on Google server. So since you access Google Drive and Google Docs and Google Sheets all within your browser, it's all like a website saved off-site on Google servers. So it doesn't save anywhere on your computer unless you create the sync to do that. And that's not something most people need to worry about if you have a steady internet connection. Can you store documents only locally like Word? Can you edit if no internet? So I think you can't store them only locally. You can store them locally in addition. And so if you set up your offline access to Google Docs, then you can edit them without the internet. And then when there's a connection made, then that information will be sent and it'll sync with the version that's in the server. Can it be exported to Apple Pages? Great question. I think that there is not a specific, I don't know what the Apple Pages file format is called, but if I look here, I don't think there's a specific one for Apple Pages. Apple Pages can open tech.txt and rich text format. That'll remove some of the formatting that you'll have in your Google document, but as a sort of last resort, you can do rich text format. I don't know if Apple Pages will open .x or ODT format. So the simple answer is no, but maybe if you kind of go around using other file formats. This is a great question. How do you un-PDF a document? You can't un-PDF a document. But you have to have Adobe Acrobat, paid version of Adobe Acrobat, which will let you edit PDFs. But you can't do that. I don't think that you can do that using the Google Suite. There's other software also that lets you edit PDF documents, but that's beyond the scope of this class. Where is the best place to save a finished document? If it's saved in one place, can it delete it from other places on the computer to save space? So that's a question that's not specific to Google Drive, because Google Drive saves it all in the cloud. But if you're talking about saving documents on your computer, really just save it in the documents folder where you know where it is. I mean, you can also save it in the downloads folder if you want to. It's save it on your desktop, save it wherever you can find it. Now, if you're going to have a lot of documents, don't save them all on your desktop. Just save them into the documents folder. Most, especially Windows computers, they have a documents folder specifically for that. Now, if you're saving multiple versions of a file within Google Drive, then yeah, it'll take up a little bit of space, but these files take up so little space that you don't really have to worry about the space features. Is EPUB editable by the receiver? If they have the right software, then it is. Okay, this is the last question I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to cover some of this more practical stuff, and then I'll return to more questions later, because I know there's more questions are coming, but we'll try to cover as many as we can during the course of the session. I have a hard out at 1 o'clock, so I want to finish my content by 1 o'clock. And then if you have further questions you can, and that I can't cover, then you can always email me. I'm happy to receive your emails. Every month, I have to send a report in. The template is already set up by my supervisor. The problem is I can fill out the doc and save it, but I can email it back to her. I usually print it out and scan it over. I know I should be able to send it back, but I don't know how. So yes, so if you create the template, if you have the template in Google Docs, then all you have to do is make a copy. So every month you make a copy of the template, you fill it out, you rename it when you make a copy to that month and the template name, and then you just have that same template in various versions, and you just send that one to your boss. So you can export each individual one depending on what format your boss wants it in. If they're using Google Docs, very convenient. You can just link them directly to the document. If not, just download that version within whatever Microsoft Word or PDF and send them that report. Very easy. You definitely don't have to worry about printing it and scanning it. You can just create a copy. I'm going to do this one more question because it's a simple one, but an important one. Can you explain downloading and if it's necessary or what's best? I'm trying to omit duplicating of the same document in different areas of my computer, which uses space. So you only need to download documents from Google Drive or Google Docs, Google Sheets, if there's some reason you're not going to be able to access them later, if you're not going to be connected to the internet, if for some reason you'll need them and you won't be able to get them. Otherwise, if you're using Google Drive, then you never have to worry about downloading them unless you need them in a separate format. Like if you need to download them as a PDF, then you can download it. Otherwise, they can all live in your Google Drive, and there's no problem with that. My Google Drive has hundreds and hundreds of documents that some of them I've downloaded just for safekeeping onto my computer, and because I need to access them in various ways. But generally, most of those documents just live in Google Drive. They never have to go anywhere. All right, let me cover something else here. So what we've been doing is just going through the screen in Google Drive, in Google Docs. I said, what is the storage capacity Google Docs? 15 gigabytes. You can have thousands of Google Doc documents. Okay, so we've been covering this one document, but I wanted to give you a more practical example of what one can do with Google Docs, because truly the interoperability of Google Docs with the other applications within Google Drive and beyond makes it a project management piece of software. You can have your whole dashboard within a Google Doc, and I'm going to show you what that looks like via the Squiggly.co staff retreat planning document, which I created. I got to say, I've had fun creating Squiggly.co's staff retreat document. So I created this recently, and as you can see, it's a little bit more complex and structured than my other document. So you can see what I have here, Squiggly Co. Staff Retreat Planning. Squiggly Co. is a company that doesn't exist except in my mind and now in your mind. They're planning a staff retreat. The staff retreat is going to be digital because they're located all over the country, and they use Google Docs to collaborate. So here's what the committee, the planning committee, Anna Helena, Curtis Tran, and me created. So they created this structured document. So what we did first was we created a table template. We went to Insert, Table, and created a table. Within this table, we changed the color of the background here. We can do that easily by right-clicking. Actually, sorry. So I selected all of this, and we can sort the table. It's convenient, you can sort the table. And then I went to, I don't want highlight color. I want a right-click and view more actions. No, I don't want that. I just did this. I just did this earlier. See, this is what happens when you do something earlier and then you get distracted and do a whole bunch of other things. So I changed the color of this. So I'm going to figure out how did I change the color of this? This is the border. We're in the exploration stage now. So I can sort the table. So if I right click table properties, okay. So I went to table properties. So if I do row, you can change the row height, color. Here we go. So this is a cell background color. So I selected all of these. I went to table properties. I went to cell background color, and I selected green. I can make it blue too, but I like the green better. So I made this green for my header, and then I added these different people, and I made links to their email address. So I forgot to make my own email a link. So if I highlight this and click link, Google knows that this is an email address, so it'll automatically make this into a link if I highlight it and press insert link. So as you can see, it automatically made this link to my email. So if I click on it, send to Oleg Kagan at squigglyco.com, which is an email address that does not exist. So don't send an email there. So that's the planning committee. So anybody who goes to this document will know who to contact and what they're in charge of. If I wanted to sort this table in alphabetical order, I can do sort ascending or sort descending. So now it's the reverse alphabetical order. And it knows not to sort this row. So it captures all these two. So if I want to just go back to what it was before, sort ascending. So Anna, Curtis, and me. Next, tasks. So I created another table for the tasks that we have to do. So obviously this is not all the tasks that we would need to do for a retreat planning, but I wanted to give you just a sense of what this might look like. So I created a table with all this right here. I created, so this is all just regular text. Now here we have something neat called Smart Chips. Smart Chips is a interesting feature that lets you create drop downs or dates. So if I want, let me show you how to create a drop down. So I'm going to erase this right here, and we have to remember that this is Curtis Tran was assigned to this. So if I want to create a drop down, there's a few ways to do it. I can do insert drop down, or I can right click and I'm gonna move this out of the way. There should be a way to create a drop down from right clicking, but I can't find it here. So instead of so we can do insert drop down, or we can do the @ symbol. And I have various options. Let's do drop down. I had created the assignments drop down earlier. And so I'm going to add the assignments drop down, and I'm going to select Curtis Tran. I can also change my assignments drop down. So if I wanted to, so this is how you create one. This is what the window looks like, create one. So it's called the assignments drop down. I put the people's names in. I gave them each a color. I create a new option, Bob Jones. He's also part of the committee. I'll have to add him later. Oh, let's give him a different color, blue. And then let's move him up here. Save. Apply to all. So Bob Jones will be added to every one of them. Let's have Bob Jones send the invites. And you know what? We need to add Bob Jones to the planning committee too. Otherwise, he'd feel left out. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of this. We're going to right click and insert row below. So we just inserted a row, Bob Jones. He's going to be the support aide. Bob is a new employee, so he's not on any of the documents yet. We'll have to add him later. Support aide, and of course, B Jones at squigglyco.com. And let's make this a link. So highlight this. I'm going to push Control K, automatically a link. And there we go. So Bob Jones can do this. I'm going to actually ask Bob Jones to do this one also. So as you can, it's pretty easy to do. We can sort this if we want to by tasks, sort ascending. So now we've sorted these tasks by the different people. So we can, if we wanted to know just who's doing the specific tasks, we can sort them people. Here we go. Here's some due dates. So this is another smart chip. So I have due date and status here. So this is a dropdown that I created, drop.startUp. This is one that was actually already built in to Google Docs. I didn't even have to create this one. So I just added it by doing at dropdown, and I selected project status, but it's already here, so I'm not going to add a different one. Date, same thing. So remember this is, we reach out to Goof Willows, who's a keynote speaker. So right now it's June 14th. Let's remember that it's due June 14th. At date, see smart chips, date, June 14th. So this has been done for a long time already. June 14th. We can also sort by date. So if we want to sort the other way, sort descending. So now we've sorted this as well. It's not sorted very well, but it is. So there's the better way to sort this would be to put it into Excel. But we do have options here. So I think, yeah. So we've got the blocked. So we've got a notes feature here. So you can see that this is a document that's full of collaboration. And you can tell that by looking at these comments. So keynote speaker Bobcat from Fiscal generated a requisition form. And then somebody commented, can you ask him to drop it in the shared folder? That was Curtis. Usually this right here where it says Oleg's Light Shop, it would say Curtis because it would be his account. But I didn't create accounts for all of the people who work for Squiggly because this imagination thing doesn't go that far. So Curtis, so we can say absolutely. Done. So reply that it's done, and then I can mark as resolved. And I can still see all the comments that are resolved. So if I want to see what was resolved, here we go. This is the comment that we just resolved, in case we want to look at it later. All right, so we've got these different features here. Another way to use smart chips is to insert people's names. So I created a fake person named Samville Tester. This is actually I got this image from a fake face generator. He's a marketing analyst for Squiggly Co. And he has a fake email address. But we can add people as a smart chip as well. So we go to add, and the first thing comes up is, so this is my email address. Samville Tester is a person that I created. I added him in my contacts and sent him an email. If you have people that are also within your social circle within Google, you send people emails. It doesn't have to be people who use Google accounts. It's just anybody who's, who you've sent emails to, have sent you emails, or you've added to your contacts. There's a variety of people here. But if I want to, what this does is it creates a link to Samville Tester here. So introduction script for host, I'm the host. This is assigned to me. I'm waiting for an edit from Samville, so I can always follow up with him if I need to. All right, so here we made another comment. We needed a prep name generator. Somebody put a comment, try this website. This looks like AH, it's Anna Helena, put a comment to try this. So moving forward, I mentioned the interoperability of Google Sheets with Google Docs. And this is what I did here. So I created a whole nother document in Google Sheets called a retreat RSVP list. And I imported this pie chart. It's actually like a donut chart. Oh, I could use a donut right now. This donut chart to talk about RSVP, to keep us up to date on RSVP status. The event is on Friday, so we need to get responses from this 40%. So if we click on this, this is also a smart chip, by the way. Accessing a link to a file is also a smart chip. So right here, so I created this by going to at. Let me actually move this, let's try this in a different place. So do at, and then if I scroll down, you can see there's files here. So I can link different files. I'm not going to do that now though. I already linked that one. So here's this file, retreat RSVP list. So you can see that you can also create smart chips in Google Sheets. So these are the names of the employees, their email addresses. As you can see, Samvel Tester has his email address as a smart chip. These are just basic drop-down menus, the same way that I created them in Google Docs. And then here, I've created a chart to mark the responses. So 40% of the people haven't responded. So we need to bother these people to respond. But if I wanted to change this, so if somebody, let's say Oleg Kagan, oh, he hasn't responded, he's definitely going to be there. So if I hit yes here, and Boogie Adams, the CEO, he's going to be there. So we hit yes. So as you can see, this changed live. And then if we go over here and click here, it pushed a little update. So we're doing a good job. We're getting those no responses to respond. So we can keep this updated. So anybody can come here to this document and get an update on what's happening at Squigglyco. All right, so here we have the schedule. So I've created a bookmark for schedule because I need to send this part of the document to people all the time, but I don't want them to have to scroll through all of this. So what I did was I created a bookmark. How did I do that? Let me erase this. Let me get rid of this bookmark. Let me show you how I did it. So I'm in schedule. If I go to insert and go all the way down, insert to bookmark, and it just creates a bookmark. What that bookmark equates to is a link to this part of the document. So if I exit this and I open a new tab, paste that bookmark, and it takes me straight to the schedule. Very convenient if you have a really long document and you want people to go straight to one part of it. So the event date is a smart chip, July 14th. So here's the schedule. So here's another document that I created in Google Sheets in order to be able to edit and adjust it. So here's the Google Sheet that I created. So this is a smart chip. So when I hover over it, it will actually show me part of the document. You are the owner, no changes have been made. Let's go to it. So here's this. What I had done earlier was essentially highlight all of this, edit, copy. I pasted it here, and it asked me whether I wanted those files to be linked. And I said yes. And the reason I did that is that in case Alma Cookies is going to be doing the prize drawing, so in case I have to edit this, when I come back here, it gives me a little update to tell me that somebody has updated it. I'm going to update it. And now Alma Cookies is doing the prize drawing. So again, all of the files from different places are all here. It's really nice. So this is just one kind of simple application, well, relatively simple application of how Google Docs can be a dashboard for your various projects. Now there's, again, a whole bunch of other ways to interact, sharing, combining, comparing. You can create simple tables right from within Google Docs, or you can import them from a different from Google Sheets here, so they're editable. You can edit it here. Now, if you edit it here, I don't know if it actually will edit it on the other end. Let's try it. I remove my last name from here, and let's go back to retreat schedule. So it did not actually edit. It doesn't reverse edit. It only edits in one direction from what I can see. I don't think this actually pulls from the other side. So now, so I can unlink open source. So I open source. Let's see if it changed. So it doesn't change it here. But if I change it, I put this back in, let's see if it'll give me an update. So I think when I change this, it may have removed the update. Let's reload that. So this didn't change properly. Let's change this back to this. Let's put Boogie Adams back here. Let's see what happens when I edit it again. Okay, so it gave me the update. Okay, so it brings it back to whatever it was over. So even if I edit it here, it won't go here, but it'll replace what I had edited. All right, so this was a little taste of what you can get with Google Docs. And of course, there's ways you can do it if you're creative and if you want to do some planning with other people. But now we're running low on time and we have a lot of questions. I really want to answer your questions. So what I'm going to do is, no, I'm going to stay sharing in case I need to. I was going to stop sharing, but I'm going to stay sharing in case I need to show you anything. So I'm going to get into the questions now. Let's see our Q&A. Make sure I didn't get didn't miss anything in the chat. No questions in the chat. All right, let's do the Q&A. Start from the top. Can Google Docs be used similar to PowerPoint? So Google Docs isn't really the program that's designed to give presentations with. It can be, you can use it that way. So you can make your screen landscape and you can create tables, and within the tables you can put, you can do drawings and things, but really you'd want to use Google Slides for that. It's designed for presentations. So you have a lot of features that are specific to giving presentations. I wouldn't recommend using Google Docs for that unless you have a very specific workflow that you've created for yourself that you can tell will work. So while it's possible, I wouldn't recommend it to use it like PowerPoint. How do I remove square bullets from a Word document list? So if you wanted to, that would actually be very similar to the way you would use it. You would do it in Google Drive or Google Docs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open OLX Fantastica document because that's my testing document. Let me just remove some of these things because this document's getting kind of busy. Okay, so let's create a table. Let's create a list. Things I like. I'm going to use a different font because Impact is not easy to read. Let's use Play for Display. No, let's use Geramond. Geramond is a nice stately font. Let me go a little bigger. Okay, things I like. Oh, this spacing is not right. I don't want it to be heading 1. I want it to be normal text. Geramond 45, so we can all see. Let's make a list. I'm going to make a dash and I'll automatically convert to a list. Things I like. Dogs. Sumo wrestling. I am a fan of sumo wrestling. Kids. The Descanso Garden. And I don't know. Google Docs. Let's make this bold. Okay, so here's our list. So if we wanted to, it automatically became a list when I use the dash. I can change what this list looks like by clicking the difference. You can see these. I can make these things into squares. So now it's a checklist. I can make these things into arrows or stars. Or I can just remove them completely. If I wanted to stop being a list, I just click on the list, the bulleted list link here, and I can make it into list. I can make it stop being a list. So you can both modify the list, or you can just make it stop being, or you can make it a numbered list. This is not the order in which I like these things. So I'm going to remove that. There we go. And if I wanted to make this a checklist, like if it's a to-do list, then I can watch Sumo already. Good. Still need to visit this console garden, but not today. Okay, so this is a list. Let's go on to the next question. So that's the idea. That's the list. It would be similar in Microsoft Word. Lists pretty much work the same way in various word processing documents and word processing software. Somebody met, is Google Docs free? It is free. Where to buy and install it. You don't need to install it. It's all within your browser. You create a Google account, and then you have access to Google Drive, including Google Docs and all of the other Google Workspace documents. So it's google.com or googledrive.com. And if you don't have a Google account, it'll ask you to create one, and then you'll be right in. Is there an autocorrect feature you can use for words with special characters? So you can add those words to your personal dictionary, and then it won't count those as wrong. You can, if the word has a special character, it may not be able to fix it for you, because if it doesn't know how to spell that word correctly, then it won't be able to fix it for you. Now, if it's a words in a different language, then if you change the language of your document, then it should recognize it correctly. But it really depends on the specific situation. So you may be able to modify Google Docs to treat your words special characters properly. I usually turn off I don't really like autocorrect. I don't even really like it on my phone. But for like word processing, I always turn off autocorrect. I like those little lines, and if I want to change the spelling of the word, I will choose to change it. Can you take a normal document, then impose a table that would put each line in a table space? I don't know if you can do that automatically. You can start with a table and then do that, but I don't know if you can. So with Google Sheets, sometimes you can paste something in there and it'll put things into separate columns automatically. I mean, separate rows automatically. It'll recognize the text is in rows. With Google Docs, I don't know if it will do that automatically. Let's try something. So I have this table here. It's structured in lines. Let's make this into, let's not make it into lists. Let's just do like this. So I have like this. And if I want to insert table, I want to see, let's say like 5. I don't know how many lines there are. So no, it doesn't do it. It just replaced my text. So no, it's not going to automatically do that. So you'd have to do that from the beginning if you wanted to impose a table onto each line. You can highlight each line and then create a table. Oh, actually, you wouldn't be able to create a table over it. Yeah, you'd have to paste the stuff into there manually, which doesn't seem like the most convenient thing. If you have MS Word, why would I use Google Docs? There's really no reason. If you're happy with Microsoft Word, there's no real reason to use Google Docs. I think I like that it's free. I don't want to buy Microsoft Office for my personal use. So Google Docs is free. So that's a key feature for me. I don't want to subscribe to, because now it's a subscription, and I don't really want to subscribe to it and pay a fee every year. Many people have Google Docs, so it's easier to share. Not everybody has Microsoft Office. In an office environment, typically they're interoperable, so you'll be able to do what you need to do. But yeah, if you have Microsoft Word and you're happy with it, then just use that. No, there's no real reason to switch unless you value the kind of simplicity that Google Docs provides. Can you work on documents offline? You've talked about this a few times. So yes, you need to set that up, but yeah, it's possible to work on documents offline. They'll sync when you get back online. Is there a way to change the default text? Yes, there is. So you see the normal text here. So you could treat it similarly like to the way you treat all of these other headings. So if I want my normal text to be like this German 45, then I do normal text and update normal text to match. And now all my normal text has switched to German 45. German or German? These are questions that I have. What is the difference between comment and suggest edit? I think that comment is sort of more of an overview. Suggest edit is a specific change that you make. that's suggested. I've never used suggest edit specifically in Google Docs, so I'm not completely sure, but I suspect that's what would be the thing. It would be that you actually make a change, and because you may not be the owner of the document, or you may not be, you have editing rights to the document, you don't actually have the ability to change that permanently. You're able to suggest it. Can you add words so that when you start to type them, Google will automatically type them out? Sort of like an autocomplete feature. That may be, Google has that for Gmail, so it may be possible that it can have that for Google Docs. I've never used that feature, so I don't know. I kind of think that it doesn't have that. No, because I created it earlier. No, it doesn't do it automatically. Let me see if there's a feature let me see if there's something in preferences that will detect markdown, detect list, capitalize words, correct spelling. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like it's a feature that's available. I don't know if this will it suggests is able to autocomplete in Google Docs. It may be there, but I don't see it right now. I haven't seen it in the last couple of hours. Please provide some links to your highly recommended manual for how to use Google Docs. I will do that. I will, what I'm going to link is training, help training. So when you go there, you can have all sorts of, it gives you all sorts of cheat sheets, productivity guides, proposals, setting up citations, bibliographies, and docs. This is what, if you're an academic student or just deal with a lot of citations, you can use, this is how you can learn how to do that. All right. I'll put that all in the follow-up email. Are shortcut keys Control X, Control V, same as MS Word? Yes. So Control X, Control V, Control A, which is, Control A, select all. Yeah, those are shortcut keys basically for most computer programs. So Control C, Control V, yeah, those are standard shortcut keys, so that they're across different software that you're going to use. I don't know if on Mac it might be Command X, Command V, Command A. On Windows computers, it's Control C. Since I do need to know how to use citations. Well, I'm going to send a link to that help document, and then you can learn how. If you have questions, let me know, because it'll give me a reason to go in and learn how to use the citations. I use citations occasionally, but it's pretty rare, so I haven't really done it in Google Docs. I see a lot of people are interested in citations. Yes, we'll do that. All right, so somebody mentioned format. There's a variety of, so columns is an interesting one here. So the best way to learn these things is just to type things and then go here and see how these work, because you'll get immediate feedback, and you could always undo if you don't like the way it looks. So I would say, if you're like me, or if you are interested in learning about computers, and specifically Google Docs, go in and practice with it. Just fiddle around like I've been doing during this presentation. Try the different features. You're not going to break anything, because you can always undo. You can always delete your document, create a new document. You don't lose anything by deleting or creating a document. And you have so much space, so much storage space within Google Drive. Very easy to use. Can voice typing be used to make a transcript of a Zoom meeting like this one? I would say that it probably is possible to use a voice typing feature within some software to generate a transcript for this program like this. Like, if, for instance, you have your phone and you have like Google Memo, the Google Memo app, you can put it down next to the microphone or next to their speakers, and as I talk, it'll transcribe automatically. Not some of them may not be able to do it for 2 hours, but yeah, so yeah, theoretically you could use voice typing to create a transcript of a meeting. It depends on how you output the sound and how the sound is input. So if it's a separate device like a phone, then it'll listen to the sound that's in the environment and transcribe that. If it's in your computer, it outputs sound. The speakers may not pick that up in the same way, but yeah, worth a try. I'd rather save to a flash drive, not the cloud. Is that an option? How do I do that? Yeah, you just, if you want to save to a flash drive, you go to File and Download, and yeah, choose your format and export to your flash drive. You definitely can do that. Can you change a line of text to all caps or cap each word? Yeah. So I mentioned how to do that earlier. So if I go to Disc Console Garden, and then I go to Format, where did I put it? I think it was in capitalization. So we have options for lowercase, uppercase, or title case. Title case means that the first letter of every word is capitalized. But we can do, yeah, make that uppercase. Tools, Format. I'm going to do capitalization, title case. There we go. Somebody asked, how do you create a link? I had mentioned that earlier. This is a question from way back. Highlight something, go to create, insert link, right over here, this little link icon. How is this different from MS Word? Again, question from way earlier in the presentation. In some ways, it's very similar to Microsoft Word. In some ways, it's slightly simpler, and the interface looks a bit different. But in the end, the function of a word processor, whether it's Microsoft Word or Google Docs, is the same. You create documents. Can you make a poll? So you can't really make a poll within Google Docs. You can use Google Forms to create a poll, and that'll, when you use Google Forms, it'll then send the results to a Google Sheet in the background. But that's beyond the scope of this course. If you like me to take you through how to do that, or give you a link to show you how to do that, just email me. What are some of your favorite extensions? I don't really use extensions, so I don't have favorite extensions. I'm good with the features that Google Docs has, so I don't really have any need for extensions. How do you add text fantastical with color gradation? Good question. So this is word art. So I think it was within the drawings feature. So let's try something else again. So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to insert. See if I can remember where I created word art. I think it's within the drawings. Lines, image, text box. There it is. So in actions, word art. And so it's going to ask you what you want to type. So what you want the word art to be. So if I want to type word art, so it creates this kind of base document for me. And then I can adjust fill color. And if I wanted a gradient, like I had before, then I go to gradient. I can create my own gradient, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to make it blue. So it's lighter in here, darker on the outside. If I wanted to make this is like the border, sometimes it's good to make a border that's similar to color so it make it kind of stand out. Or we can make it green. There we go. Now it looks kind of funky. We can also make the size of the border weight, make it like that. And then the border line dotted, so there's a bunch of green ants over this. And I'm going to change the font. I always like to make different Comic Sans, perfect for this. There we go. Now we have my word art. As you can see, design is my passion. Why do you use Brave? I like the Brave browser. I like that it's privacy conscious. You don't get ads within YouTube. That's the primary reason. But most common browsers are pretty good. But again, beyond the scope for this program. How do I delete the files others share with me instead of just hide it from view? You might be able to unshare files. So you would usually go to shared with me, and then here, I don't have any files shared with me, so I can't show you, but here you can probably just right click on it and remove or unshare, and then it won't appear here anymore. Is there a font list where the font name is written in the font itself? Yes, it's right here. It's right when you click on the font. This list is written in the font itself. So you see all kinds of different fun fonts. How do I open a Google account? You can go to google.com, and on the top right hand side, it'll give you an option to open an account. You can go to drive.google.com and open an account. Yeah, there are links, right, when you go to any Google site that let you create an account. Can PowerPoint be converted to Google Slides? Yes, it can. It might miss some of the features that are in PowerPoint, but if you have a pretty basic presentation, then yeah, it should be converted. It should be easy to convert. And it's the same. You just upload it to Google, to take it from your computer and put it on into Google Slides, and it'll be there. I've been using Google Doc because folders were shared with me. I want to create my own pages. How do I do this? You just create a new document, new, and yeah, just you can blank document or from a template. So you use within your own Google Drive. How much space is in your Google Cloud? 15 gigabytes, which is a lot if we're talking about just documents. If you want to put videos and stuff like that, that takes more space. But just documents, very little space. Does the file shared with me take up space in my cloud storage? That's a great question. I don't know offhand. I doubt it. But again, if they're just documents, then it's really an insignificant amount of space. So you don't have anything to worry about in terms of losing your storage space. Is the document saved in Google Secure? Yeah, as secure as your Google account, unless you share it. If you share it with just anybody, then other people will be able to come in and access the document and mess with that document. But generally speaking, yeah, it is secure. Can you show us how to add a drop-down menu to the Google Doc? Yeah, I think I've already done that. But if for a very quick demonstration, let me do it in this document. You hit the at symbol, and Smart Chips drop-down, and you can select which one. So these are drop-downs that are already created, or I can create a new drop-down. Let's just do review status. And then, yeah, there they are. So as you can see, it used my normal text, and now it just uses, so it uses the format of my normal text and the colors that were previously selected for this dropdown. Does Google Drive save pictures over 50 gigabytes worth of pictures? It does save pictures, but if you have over 50 gigabytes worth of pictures, then you're going to need to pay for Google One. So you're going to need to upgrade your storage space with Google. Otherwise, it's going to knock out your 15 gigabytes worth of space. Yeah, I have my picture stored in, I use Google Photos. So Google Photos stores, it takes up my total Google space. But I'm subscribed to Google One because I use it as my primary cloud storage. Did you mention this presentation will be on YouTube? Yes, it will. It's being recorded. It's going to be on our YouTube channel, and you'll get a video link in a follow-up email. Can you explain how to make a template I can use every month? Oh yeah, so we talked about this already. Yeah, you create a document, and then you can copy the document. A great instruction on Google Docs. Do you have a similar for Google Sheets? Is it on video? Yes, it is. It's on our YouTube channel. I have an in-depth tour of Google Sheets, and I will put a link to that in the follow-up email. What is the difference between bookmarks and smart chips? Bookmarks are just a link to a specific place within a document. Chips are links to outside places and also drop downs that you can create within the document. So it's the direction of the link is the difference. Can you erase things from your Google Cloud? Yeah, you can delete things. So if I'm in my Google Drive, I can delete. So I have this getting started PDF that Google automatically put in there. I can right click and remove. It goes into the trash. And if I want to delete forever, I right click on that and I delete forever. And now it's gone. Otherwise, automated trash will be deleted forever after 30 days. So you don't have to worry, maybe it'll automatically be deleted forever. But yeah, you can delete things. Google Docs is very useful. Why is it free? Advertising. Because when you use Gmail, you have advertising. When you're kind of within the Google infrastructure, you get ads at various places, not within the Google Drive suite, but in other places you get ads. Google Docs is free for personal use. If you use it for businesses, pay for it. So they pay for various other features that allow their staff to use Google Drive or Google Workspace. So they make money in that way. So I guess Google Drive is kind of a loss leader for Google because their real business is ads. Where can I see this program again? It's going to be in our YouTube channel. Is Google Sheets also as free as Google Docs? Yeah, the whole suite is free. So anything that you see here, all these are free. What is the name of the Google program equivalent to Excel? It's Google Sheets. It's this one right here. Do you do presentation on Google Forms and Slides? I haven't yet, but it's likely that I will be doing an in-depth tour of Google Slides at some point in the future. All right. Can I use Google Docs on an iPad? Yes, you can. You just download the Google Docs or Google Drive, and you should be able to use it with an iPad. Okay, we're at time. It's 1:02, so I answered all the questions just in time to finish. Oh, was this recorded? Yes, it was recorded. Now I answered all the questions. So what I want to do is I want to thank you for being here, for asking your questions, for sticking with me for like 2 hours of an in-depth tour. And I want to ask you humbly to fill out our post-event survey. We send a post-event survey after all of our work-ready programs. And so if you have 2 minutes to fill out the survey, let me know what you thought of the program, how we can improve it, and any topics you'd like us to cover with Work Ready in the future. These programs are designed for you with your needs in mind. So the way that you can let us know about your needs is through the post-event survey. You'll get a follow-up email and you will be able to respond. You can always respond to the follow-up email if you want to email me. If you have further questions, if you think about anything else, feel free to do that. Once again, thank you very much for being here and hope to see you next week for Work Ready interview with a handy ma'am. Have a good afternoon and see you next time.